Welcome to the 1% Better Recruitment Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Kiriakou. If you're new around here, this podcast ultimately aims to get you 1% better every single episode, but it's unlike most recruitment podcasts. We have a lot of fun on this show. We share some crazy stories, wild anecdotes. We talk about some things that you probably won't hear on most recruitment podcasts. But at the end of the day, my whole goal is to elevate the industry at least 1% after each episode. You probably noticed I'm wearing my Milo t-shirt. So myself and two other trainers have set up a new business, which is AI role plays, AI coaching, backed with over 100 videos from 3 expert trainers in the recruitment field. So if you are interested in that, we are in the process now of trying to raise some funding. So we need all the help that we can get, but it's going to be such an exciting product to take to market. So yeah, if you want to get involved in that, reach out to us. And if you are enjoying the podcast and you're not following on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or subscribing here on YouTube, what the heck are you doing? Let's get into this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Sarah, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast, coming around the house today. I'm really excited to get into this one, but before we do get started, for people that may or may not know who you are, your background, your story, what you do, just give us a bit of an intro.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sarah Leete. I'm one of the owners and co-founders, sounds a bit formal, of Lawrence Dean Recruitment. We've been going for 15 years now. I've worked in recruitment pretty much my whole life. So my story, I suppose. I don't know if you've ever heard people always say whether you chose recruitment or most people fall into it.
Yep.
And I was one of the weird ones that chose it.
Same.
From a really young age.
Yep, same.
I wanted to get into it. I think I was about 18. I'd finished school. I was going to go to uni, but me being me and as I was back then, just didn't want to commit to doing something for 3 years in a course that I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't want to spend the money, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing a job in recruitment thinking I'd be good at that. Went for an interview and got turned down, which at the time I thought they were completely wrong. It was completely, I was right for this.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, actually, at 18, I probably was. I was probably a bit green, a bit naive. And then, long story cut short, I went and was lucky enough to go and work. Went to work for Walt Disney World in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they do like a cultural exchange program where they take on people from specific countries to go and work there for like a year. Mm-hmm. So I still don't know how I got that job, to be fair, but I did, and spent a year out there. And I wasn't massively into Disney. I wanted the whole experience. That was like my uni experience. But I tell you what, it gave me like the best foundation in customer service I think I ever have got. Yeah, it properly started me off. Like they used to have this thing called magical guest experience or something. But pretty much what it was if you saw someone on the park for whatever reason not having a great time, you could do whatever was in your power to fix that. That could be giving them a drink, a sweatshirt, whatever it might be. And silly things like that, apart from it being really good fun, it was really good foundation. So fast forward then, I came back, I was going to go travelling, did the usual thing, met a man, fell in love, and didn't end up going. And then thought, I'll have another crack at this recruitment business. I think it still is right for me. And it started, because it sounds awful, but back in that day, you applied for a job. Mainly, it wasn't even online then. Like it was like, it makes me sound really old. But you had shop windows with jobs advertised, and I went into an agency initially wanting like a contract because I was going to go travelling. And I still remember this is years ago. But walking in, standing on the doormat, and no one acknowledged me. There was like 10 people in there, all heads down.
Oh my God.
And as a 20-ish at that point probably, feeling really uncomfortable, really like, oh my God, am I an inconvenience being here? And they put me forward for a job. I got it with, if I'm honest, really minimal effort or input or support. Yeah. And again, at that point, I thought I think I could just do this better. Surely it can't be that hard. Like you treat people like that and you do that, it can't be that hard. So I applied for jobs. I really went for it, and I got offered 2 positions with well-known high street agencies as they were back then. And weirdly, I took the one that was paying less. Because I loved the manager. Like there was just something about her. I thought I would do well with her, and I really did. So I took a job. It was with they were then called Select Appointments. They were part of Vedure Group. Hello. And I started in the October as a perms consultant, and then for the next 3 years, I was a top performing consultant in the UK.
Oh wow!
So it was proper like league tables. It was just great. I loved it. I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot from them. I had an amazing career. Then I progressed into management. Then I went and worked for them for a bit in Australia and had a bit of a sabbatical because I still wanted to do travelling, but they kept me back. And then I came back, and then basically, I can't remember exactly when this was, a few years before the recession hit, really. The company got bought out by a big global entity.
Yeah.
And the feel of the business basically just changed overnight, really. No disrespect to them, what they do is great. But where I'd worked before, I ran my office like it was my own business.
Yeah.
I was empowered, I was accountable, I could make decisions. I was given a budget that I wrote and I delivered it and I got rewarded for it. It was quite straightforward, and it was very pacey, which was very me. And it just wasn't that. There was a lot of meetings about meetings, talking about talking, having meetings about the meeting you talked about in the meeting before, but nothing ever happened. And I went with it because I'm a really loyal person, but it just didn't work. And I think there was a few final moments. Like, I remember vividly going on a client meeting for a really good bit of business, and they wanted to negotiate on the fee, but it was viable because there was volume there. And I had to get approval for that, which seems a bit bonkers.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had to get approval, and it wasn't even a big reduction. It was like 1% of something, still very, very viable. And then my manager at the time, it took her 2 weeks to come back to me with a decision.
Damn.
And she said yes. And by that point, I was like, well, there's no point there. And it'd gone, it'd been filled, we'd lost it. And I remember thinking, this is just ridiculous in a world where we're fighting for business. I can't do this anymore. So my now business partner and I, we had never worked together, but we worked at the same company.
Okay.
We managed different locations. On one of those many journeys up and down the M4, coming back late, getting stuck, we just started talking about it and thinking, surely we could do this better, right? Like, it's not, I think sometimes in what we do, people really overcomplicate stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You know, people are people. Give them a good service, treat them well. It just kind of works. So yeah, the idea was planted, and then basically Lawrence Dean was born. We had 6 months to make it work. We had to go and get another job. And I've always worked hard. I've worked since I was like 13. I don't mind work and don't mind hard work, but I've never worked so hard as I did then. And then we started off. So for the first year, I think it was just the two of us we had an office the size of a cupboard. Home working wasn't really a thing then.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd have liked it if it was, because it was hard and tough and you needed that support.
100%.
And then we started expanding, hiring. We got our first temp out within, I don't know, like 3 weeks. We brought on a brand new sizable client within the first 3 months. It just started to build and to go. And then we've never really looked back. We started pretty much in a recession.
Oh, wow. What year was it that you started?
2020.
2020. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So everyone was like, are you crazy or brave?
Yeah.
And probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But if anything, do you know what you have? If you're starting at a time like that, you haven't got anything to lose.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people appreciate you supporting them in those times, and then they remember you in the good times as well.
Yeah.
So so we've gone through that. We've gone through COVID.
So sorry, when did you start? You started, was it 2008? Sorry, did you start? 2009, Lawrence Dean.
2009, yeah.
2009. Sorry, okay, yeah, and then you went through the pandemic as well, and then now the world of AI.
So it's constantly evolving, and
course.
changing, and it's always something different. But I think fundamentally, what we do and what good recruiters do doesn't change. Yeah. Just the way that you do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Can change and adapt. So that's a bit about me.
I'm so grateful that I've met another person, because I always feel like the odd one out when I've had so many people on and people say, oh, I just fell into recruitment, and I'm like, am I weird for wanting to get into it? Like,
I think I am, but I think
you have to be a slight bit crazy to want to get into this industry. But because I've probably told this story on the podcast, but when my first job was working in retail, like most people is, and I hated it. And I worked for Next, and it was like, you have to say the things that they tell you to say. And you had a bit of flair and personality. They're like, that's not the corporate way. And that was like, for me, I was like, I don't think I could ever work for a big corporate, because I need to be myself.
Yeah.
And then when I left that job, and my mum was like, you have to find a job. I couldn't hold a job down. Like, I couldn't find a good job. I didn't know what I wanted. It's like a lot of people in their late teenage years. And it's embarrassing, but I was signing on at the job centre. And I was going through really bad mental health issues at the time, depressed and anxious, all the rest of it. And I said to the lady, I was like, I want a job that I can work with people, I can help them, but it pays a lot of money, because I don't want to be a social worker. I'm not smart enough to go and learn like medicine and science. Like, what can I do that helps people that I can earn a load of money? And she was like, sounds like recruitment. And I was like, that's a job. Really? So I can help people get a good career and get good money from it? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to put you down for admin though. I was like, No! I was
want
like,
admin.
is this a sales job? I feel like I'd be great at sales. I was like, no, we'll just put you down for admin. And I remember ripping up my piece of paper in the job centre saying, I'm never signing on ever again. I'm never coming back here ever again. My mum's going ballistic because she's got to pay council tax and the bills and stuff. She's like,
get to work.
Yeah, get to work. And then I got an email from this company called John Lang Training, and it was like apprenticeships. I was like, oh my God, an apprenticeship in recruitment sales. Like, this is brilliant. I didn't own a suit. I didn't have a pair of shoes or anything like that. So bless my mum. And my mum's been on benefits for a long time because she's got many sort of issues. She used her money to buy me a suit and a pair of shoes. And I wore that one suit for the first entire year of my career. Went to this place and he sat down with me and was just like, mate, you've got it. Like, you are going to be an amazing recruiter. You've got great communication skills. You're articulate. You can sell. Here's a job for you. I'm going to put you forward to it. And I looked, it's like, mate, it's £600 a month. You joking? £600 a month? I was like, absolutely not. And he was like, I've got another one here. It's a 10-minute drive from your house. It's £1,000 a month. I was like, all right, cool, I'll take that. Lasted 5 months. Thinking again, I can't keep a job down to save my life. Went back to the other company that was £600 a month, and I was there for 2 years doing contract nursing. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I just realised that once I found a company that I was kind of good in, and I had good people.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
It's got to be whoever you work for in recruitment. I think it has to match your values.
Hey guys, quick one before we jump back into the episode. If you are a recruiter who feels like half your week disappears into admin, follow-ups, data cleaning, and jumping between several different tools, then listen up, because this episode is officially sponsored by Sourcewell. Sourcewell is the recruitment productivity platform, and I don't just mean another tool that you'll forget to use. I mean the tool that actually gives you your time back. You can run your entire desk in one place. Outreach, sourcing, data enrichment, multi-step email and LinkedIn sequences, inbox management, and even call notes. It's all there, synced, automated, and according to their stats, recruiters using Sourcewell see 56% higher response rates, double the pipeline, and approximately save around 8 hours of admin every single week. If you're like me, admin as a recruiter is the devil, and this productivity platform really helps you save a load of time. So reach out to Sourcewell, go to sourcewell.com. It's a fantastic platform. I've used it myself. I really believe in it, and I'm super grateful for them sponsoring the podcast. Let's get back into the episode.
And they have to have your ethos, and because at the end of the day, you're going out ultimately selling the company that you're selling yourself. You're saying, work with me. Why do you want to work with me? And if 100%. The backup behind you isn't what you want, then it just won't work.
100%.
I still remember the same thing, actually. I remember in my first year in recruitment thinking, I just don't get this. Basically, I'm paid money, I'm paid bonus, and my job is to help find people work. And the more people I help find work, they think I'm really brilliant. The client I'm recruiting for thinks I'm great, and I get paid more money. Why does everyone not do this? Yeah. And then I had my bad months. And then I was like, oh, okay. I remember vividly, I think it was, I say to people, if you're new to it, it takes a year for it to become good, but it takes 6 months to 6 month point to me is always make or break. Yeah. By then you're either like, right, I've got it, I can get it. You've ridden that wave of, the roller coaster of everything that goes with it, and you're there, or it's just too much, it's too hard, you quit. And I think the people that make it to 6 months generally aren't your quitters. Yeah. They know it's tough, but it's great, but you have to keep going, and you have to just learn fast at pace, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep going. It's that resilience, it's that drive. You
also get the people though that have got the will but just don't have the skill.
Yeah,
and
true.
I had a friend of mine, I won't mention his name, but he was in the finance world, and when I was 21, you first start earning your commission, and when you're 21, all your friends are just coming out of uni, they've got bags worth of debt, and you're earning commission. You're going to a club and you're buying everyone drinks, and it's like nothing to you. Everyone's like, what the fuck do you do for work? And I'm like, I'm a recruitment consultant. They're like, but how have you got so much money? I'm like, because I earn commission.
I work really hard.
I work really hard, but
and I'm good at it.
And I'm good at it. Yeah. And then I said to all my mates, I was like, you need to come and work with me. That my manager earns so much money. Got my friend a job, and 6 months into it, grit, resilience, work ethic, but the skill element wasn't there. If a candidate or a client said, I'm not really interested, I totally understand, it's fine. Right. It's very customer, and I want to talk to you about the customer service part, because I think there's customer service and there's I totally understand, but then there's the ability to
spin.
Spin it around. And I remember sat down with him one night, and we were out at a pub drinking, and I was just in and out on the phone, and people were making jokes is he a drug dealer or something? I'm like, no, I'm on call. I've got nurses backing out of shifts, I've got to backfill them. I'm like, take a minute, mate. I'm like, I can't, because that market was 24/7, and it was exhausting. After 2 years, I was like, this is ridiculous. And I remember speaking to him saying mate, every time it hits 5, you're out the door. And he's just like, well, yeah, because I'm delivering pizza. I'm like, mate, no. And he was like, but how am I going to pay my bills? How, I've got to help my parents. I'm like, mate, I stay into the office a couple of nights a week until like 8, 9 o'clock at night because the candidates I speak to then are going to be commissioning in a month's time. And he's like, but I need money now. And I'm like, with respect, dude, that's not the mentality for this industry. Like, you can't just be thinking about here and now. You need to be thinking about the future. And I think he left that company. He didn't pass his apprenticeship, joined another company, same type of mindset, just didn't come into it thinking this isn't 9 to 5. It's, I'm coming in at 9.
Work, right?
Of course.
And I think now I look at like our team, and I'm something I'm really proud of. Like, they have a really good work-life balance, way more than I ever did. But it's different now, and the expectation is different, and the emphasis on like work-life balance, and I want that for the people that work for us.
Yeah.
But I also want them to work hard and earn good money, and ultimately do what they say they're going to do. It's not the sort of job, if you're really, really good at recruitment, it's not a 9 till 5, let's be honest. I mean, if you can do it that way, brilliant, fair play to you, you're better than I am. But I think even with all the advancements in technology and like there still is that human element where you need to talk to people, and if most of the people you're talking to are at work, or there's just not enough hours in the day to get everything done if you want to do it really, really well. Or you, like you said, you accept average and you're okay with average. But most of the brilliant recruiters I've met, that is, you're either really, really good at it or you're not. There's not really that in between where you're just okay. You either 100%. Have that mindset where you really want it and you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
And it's also very rare that you see an excellent recruiter do 9 to 5 and they're above and beyond in terms of like the billing league table, right? If I think back to my last full year as a recruiter, so 2020, like most people, pretty much all my jobs died, all my clients fell off a cliff, the world ended, right? And I was on furlough for most of that year. And then 2021, market started to open back up again, and I was top biller for like the first 9 months. And everyone always used to like say, it hits 5 o'clock and you're out the door. And I'm like, yeah, because I've done everything I need to do. I'm hitting my target. I've got a house now. I'm engaged. I just want to go and do my hobbies. I want to go and do my Thai boxing. I've done the long hours, and I felt like, because I'd been in recruitment for like 8 years at that point, I was like, I've been there. I've got the t-shirt. I've got the house now. Like, I wasn't as motivated by money and the billings. I was motivated by helping people because I was a manager, and then COVID happened. They said, you're amazing at BD. Just go back to sales. I was a little bit like, I've done that. I wanted to lead. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to do that. And then Dom, who lives in America now, he just worked every fucking hour under the sun, beat me in the league table. And when I clocked him go above me in the league table, and I didn't have that old feeling of like, you bastard, I want to beat you, I was like, right, I think it's time to kind of move on now. And on my last day, my friend Kieran said, I've looked at the number of deals that you've done this year and the hours that you've worked. How? Just explain to me how you've done that. And I was like, well, when you've built, and you can attest to this, when you've built a network, you've built a reputation, you understand the process, you understand what a good candidate looks like, what a good client looks like, and you're not just taking a job on to hit a KPI. You're taking a job on because you know you're going to fill it, and you're going to fill it in a couple of weeks. I got to 5 o'clock and I was like, I've done everything I can. Like, I've mastered these processes. I'm going to go and do my Thai boxing. I'm going to go and play football, whatever. But when you see some people that, and I get this as a coach all the time, I want to buy a BMW, I want to buy a house, I want to pay off my mum's fucking mortgage. And then it hits 5 o'clock and they're like, see you guys, work-life balance. I'm like, well, hang on a minute.
You can't have both.
Yeah, you can't have both.
I think that's a big thing though. Also, you have to recognise you can't have both. And people that want, like, recruitment, any job you want to be successful in, let's be honest, it's hard work. And you have to make a choice. Life's all about choice, right? You either want to be finishing 5 o'clock on the nose and going doing your hobbies and doing that, but then you have to accept you're probably not going to be as good as someone that will work harder. It doesn't always work that way. You'll get people that can achieve a lot in a short space of time, but I think especially when you're starting out, like, it takes a lot. Like, when you get to the point when you're a few years in and you've got an established and loyal client base, like you said, you know how to do it, you can do it well, you can do it quickly, you're looking to grow and improve. I think that's really important in what we do. So many people just almost, I was talking to someone about it today actually, because we're hiring at the moment, and do the same thing over and over again, but it doesn't work. The people that I've brought on and recruited and are brilliant are the ones that always, they've just got, like, it sounds cheesy, but like that growth mindset that will properly look at it and go, okay, well, this isn't working. What do I do differently? Try it. That was awful. Okay, I won't do that again. I'll try that. Okay, that didn't work. But keep constantly thinking, either how can I get better, make it quicker? How can I improve it? And that's the joy, like, of running your own business, I suppose. We're only small, but me and my business partner, we wrote all the processes. So I'm a massive believer. I don't do stuff for the sake of doing stuff. all of our candidate processes, the client, it works. If it doesn't work, we fix it quickly. And you just, it's got to be good for you, for the business, for the people you're working with.
Yeah.
But also I think like if you're only going to work 9 till 5, I think the biggest mistake sometimes people make is in what we do, you forget, like you are just dealing with people. Well, we've had people that have come to us before and they've worked in sales and stuff, but they've sold a different, like a product. That's the one thing they always find quite hard, I think, that if you're selling a specific product, it is what it is. Normally you'll win it on service or price, depending on what it is, if it's software or an actual physical item. But if you've got a customer who's bought into it, they're probably going to sign. Once they've signed, it's done. Obviously, in what we do, that's like the first step of the rest of it. You get someone a job offer. Doesn't mean they're going to start. Doesn't mean they're going to stay. Like what you put into that process that makes that work and makes it efficient. And also knowing when enough's enough and actually what you can learn from, what you can improve upon, and what actually has got absolutely nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You can't control if a candidate you're representing splits up with a boyfriend and moves back to Leicester.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can do. There's certain things you're not God. So there's certain things you can do, and certain things you have to just, as much as it's annoying and frustrating in the moment, think, do you know what, I did everything I could. Just got to get over that and move on to the next one. But I just think people forget that it's just people, and ultimately most people, they just want your help, whether it's a client giving you a job or someone looking for work. Like you said before, I don't like people that push. That's wrong. Push is the wrong word. I don't like people that
they're overly pushy.
Well, they just sell too much. You just shouldn't have to sell what you do. You just give people the right information and let them choose. Yeah, that is sales, but it's not like if someone doesn't want a job that you've got, they don't want it. Like, don't make them have it, but also make sure you put it forward in the best light. Yeah. I'm not talking mis-selling it, but that's why people partner with you, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure you've had many a candidate that says, I'm really happy where I am. I'm not looking for a move right now.
Yeah.
And then you flip it and say, okay, well, if something did land on my desk right now that was 10 out of 10, perfect.
Yeah.
What would that need to look like for you to then say, go on then, I'll have a chat?
Yeah.
I get asked quite a lot by people who listen to the podcast what I do and how I can help them. So just to give you a bit of an intro, I work with anything from trainee to founder and everything in between within the recruitment space and offer coaching and training services. So if it's business development, mindset, confidence, if it's even the advanced thing like the NLP hypnotic language patterns to help influence, get higher terms, setting RPOs, retainers, all those types of things. And everything I do around the coaching basis is very, very practical. It's not just theory. I work one-to-one with people. I work with large recruitment teams. A lot of what I do is on site. A lot of what I can do can be remote as well. I've worked with businesses all over the world since doing my own business. So if you are interested in getting 1% better and want to work with someone that can help you on that basis, and there's a clear ROI, I've worked with people that have 10x their ROI working with me in just 3 months. So if you are interested, all my details are in the description of this and of course on LinkedIn. So drop us a message and let's work together.
Yeah.
Well, if it paid X and it was based here and it had done that, I'd be interested. Cool. Are you familiar with so-and-so? No, let me tell you about this very quickly. Yeah. You said you were looking for X, Y, and Z. Here's that. Oh, that is quite interesting, actually.
Yeah.
But initially they said they weren't looking. And this is the thing, as a coach, when I work with recruiters, they said they weren't interviewing anywhere else. Ask them again. They said they're not looking for work right now. They said they're not hiring. You dig a little bit further. It's just questioning. And then like you said, one of my favourite quotes is, the art of a good salesperson is selling without feeling like the person's being sold to. Completely. If you can just repeat the language back to them by your deep questioning. Yeah.
I think it's just a big thing as well that people don't, like a key skill in recruitment is just listening.
Big time.
Like you get one end of the spectrum of people that just talk at people and don't listen. And then, like you said, all that happens is someone's just so keen to get them off the phone, they'll just say yes to shut them up. Yeah. They're never going to speak to them again. They're never going to talk to them again. And fairness, that person's probably thinking, oh, why? Oh, I can't believe that's happened to me. Because they've pushed too hard. And there's other people that if you just, like you said, it's a conversation. You're not, you're just talking to someone, understand what they've done, understand what they want to do, understand their motivations. And then I think the key thing is just be honest. Yeah. Like that's what we've been going for 15 years. And it was lovely actually. The other day, I've been going out seeing clients and stuff. And it all happened in the space of like 2 or 3 days, exactly the same feedback. Sat with someone and she just said to me, do you know what, Siobhan, I remember you from the days it was just 2 of you in an office and I'd worked with her and hadn't and then had again. And she just said, do you know what, from my networking, she's an HR person. She was like, I have never, ever heard anyone have anything negative to say about Lawrence Dean. And I was like,
That's nice.
But she just said, everyone says anything, you do all this out. We do extra stuff to support people. And yeah, she was just like, you do a lot of outreach, you do events, you do training, we do loads of different things that people love. She said, but generally people always say what a decent team you are, what a good service you deliver. No one has negative to say. And then someone else, a candidate, exactly the same thing. Someone else, exactly, like different versions of it. But it's lovely. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are people that will have something slightly different to say. But as a rule, if you're honest about what you do, and like when you said, if you're talking to a candidate, you've got to tell them the benefits of the employer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they say no, then that is a no, and that's okay. That's their choice. But then think of them something else.
Yeah.
There's some stat we did recently. It was something like 70% of the people we found work for last year, they didn't get the job they applied for. So they'd applied for a job, and then we talked to them about it and gone, actually, no, I don't think that's right for you because, I don't know, you want hybrid work and this is office, whatever it might have been. But what about this one? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And that's where I think when you partner with a good agency, it really adds that value.
Yeah.
And that's where you get feedback. And just supporting people, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
it's tough out there at the moment. It's been a horrific year for lots of people. It's been tough in recruitment. But if you think about your candidates, it's been redundancy central, let's be honest. And that's a lot for people. It's hard, it's horrible, it's tough. It always seems to do it at Christmas for some reason. I don't know if people
I got made redundant almost 2 years ago to the day
Did
as
you?
well.
Yeah, I don't know why people do it. It's just, I suppose January's not any better. But just the timing of it. And I think sometimes when you're in the industry, it's just really important to put yourself in that other person's shoes, whether it's a candidate or a client. But, I've heard it before where people have been made redundant, and it's a level of empathy that you need when you talk to people. Someone will sort of talk to them, how are you? Why are you looking for work? I've been made redundant. Oh, okay, what salary are you looking for?
Yeah,
that's not how you handle that. Have a heart. You just told she's got 2 kids, she's not going to be able to live to next month, and you just, it's that human element. And that's why I think like the customer service part of what we do, I call it customer service, people might call it something else, but just that level of empathy and understanding. Yeah. It goes both ways. And people can be so short-sighted with that.
Yeah, because I've got a friend of mine who I need to have him on the podcast because he says that recruitment isn't a sales job, and I always debate with him and say it is a sales job, and he's like, no, it's service, it's marketing. I was like, it's all of those. It's also therapy. Like I've had candidates call me saying the company's been acquired by a big American conglomerate. And I'm losing my job and I don't know what I'm going to do and I've got a mortgage to pay, So you've got to sit there and essentially be a therapist with them and hear out their thoughts, their feelings, their problems and all the rest of it. There's so many aspects to this job, but you mentioned the service, and I found it really interesting actually when you talked about your time in America where, you kind of learned unbelievable customer service, and then your story about going into the agency and no one speaking to you. Kind of before we recorded, and I said I've been calling recruitment agency offices and no one answers the bloody phone. Yeah. It's just mental to me. I don't know whether it's just my upbringing. Like my family's Greek Cypriot, so whenever someone comes around the house, even if we're eating dinner, you go and put the kettle on for them. You bring them a plate of food. Like, just for me, like the service that I gave to my candidates, even if I spoke to a candidate and knew in my mind, I'm never going to place you, I'm going to spend time with you and help you. Long term, I know that I'm probably going to get referrals from it, sure, but I want to help and I want to give a good service to this person. But I feel like a lot of recruiters, and I don't want to sit here and say this generation that, but I feel like a lot of recruiters really struggle or just aren't really good at the service element. A lot of recruiters I've worked with, this candidate's shit. And I'm like, okay, but you can still give them a good service.
And also, still be nice. Yeah, you can still be nice. Manners,
and also, they might be crap now. Like I said to you earlier about when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. You look at my CV, like honestly, when I got my job at Sensible, they looked at my CV, they laughed at me the whole interview. Still got the job, but they laughed at me. It was like, you put on your CV, you were in a job for a week. What have you done that for? Didn't tell them I got fired. Like, I was a shit candidate, I'm honest. But there was obviously something there. But with the service element, like, tell me a little bit about what you guys do to make sure that you give the best customer service to candidates, clients, etc.
Partly it's time and knowledge, and don't get me wrong, we can't help everyone. Yeah. We get so many people interested in every single job we advertise, but there's some you can definitely help. There's some unfortunately you can't, but you can signpost them to other stuff. But I think the ones where I think there's like, it's not a project, that's probably the wrong word, but there's some people that just need a bit of help. Yeah. So for me, the big thing, I still stand by this, is you only know if you can help someone if you pick up the phone and talk to them. So you can have someone who, especially now in the world of AI, they haven't even written their own CV. The CV is amazing, almost like you're like, wow, how is this person that's worked for 2 weeks. It's incredible. And look at their language, and it's really impressive. And they didn't write it. And that's like, you know, it's okay. Actually, to me, that shows a bit of a skill set there in itself. But my big thing is you talk to people, because most jobs these days still involve communicating in some way, shape or form. So initially talking to someone on the phone is a big part of that. And you'll find in what we do, I think you'll have someone that will have a brilliant CV, but maybe lacks a bit of energy and they need a bit of coaching. They've got it, but they need a bit of help. Or the flip side of that, someone can sound phenomenal, but they've never written a CV. They've been made redundant. They've worked somewhere for 25 years. They haven't got a clue what to do and they just need your help. So I think really it's identifying those people. Some people need a bit of support, but not a lot. And other people actually just need a bit of coaching. That's one of the things I say, you know, coaching for an interview, giving some pointers on CVs. We do like webinars for free on like interview tips and CV preparation, and that gets quite a good kind of following from candidates where they need that help. But for me, I just think it's doing what you say you're going to do, and don't oversell it. Like, it's hard sometimes if you can't help someone to say to them, I don't think I can help you. Yeah. But sometimes that's kinder than misleading them. Absolutely. And also with things like feedback, like when it comes to customer service, part of giving a good service is being honest. So you have to have that relationship with your candidate or your client where you can be polite, nice, kind, but straight. Yeah. So, you know, if you've got a client who's paying you to find them someone for their job and they've had 5 interviews and all of them hate it, you need to tell them, and you need to tell them why constructively. But they need to be, if you're going to really partner with someone, it's your job to, it's a two-way street, right? It's not just about them telling you what to do. You've got to have your input in there. So I think that in terms of feeding that back, and it goes vice versa. If someone's had an interview and it's been a disaster, obviously you don't want to knock their confidence, but you need to give them something constructive to help them to move forward. So we've got loads of examples of that where, you know, someone was close, but they didn't get it because they did this. We spent the time with them to coach and help them, and then they've got the next job. And like you said, they're the people that will forever be loyal to us because we've done something that no other agency has done, but we've also done something like tech and AI and job boards, and you know, there's so much noise everywhere about everything. But sometimes people just need another person to help them.
100%. I think what you said as well about like educating the client, I think that really comes from like the first time you take the job on with the client and explaining to them, because I've learned from this where perhaps I didn't explain that well enough to the client, that if we are struggling with the brief, we will let you know what you might need to change. Because I've had clients, and I'm sure you've had this as well, where, you know, candidates get through to it and the client's just, you know, or maybe, sorry, let me go back. You're calling candidates about a job and every single candidate you're speaking to is above what they can pay. And you go back to a client and go, I think you need to up your rate or your salary. And they're like, no, we're really, really fixed. Because you hadn't explained to the client that, you know, I'm your eyes and ears in the market. Yeah. And if I'm finding what you're looking for and they're being paid more by your competitors, we're going to have a conversation. But if you don't do that, a client just thinks, oh, you're a recruiter that just wants a bigger fee. Do you know what I mean? And I've had that before. And then when I've learned from that, I think one of the best examples I had, I can't remember the name of the business, but it was a really cool business. They, her son had clubfoot. And yeah, it's really, really weird. She just randomly called. I'd never heard of this business, right? So she decided her husband was an engineer. So all of the different orthotics for her son just didn't fit. So her husband decided to make one. And then she was like, this looks like a business here. So they created the business. It's a family business.
That's a lovely story, though,
and then they grew it internationally. And then they wanted to hire their first ever business development manager for Europe, Middle East and Africa. I didn't know anything about this market, but I knew medical devices. I just didn't know about the orthotics market. So I called her and asked about the salary and all the rest of it. And she was a little bit like, we just don't want to pay more than X. And I was like, okay, what companies do you want me to headhunt from? What's the skill set you're looking for? What's the travel? Got everything. And then I just said to her, like, look, I'm going to go to market. I'm going to headhunt from all these companies. And if I find out that they're being paid whatever, I'm just going to give you like a document that says these companies are paying this. And then we'll have a chat. Come back and I said, look, you're paying 50, 55. These guys are being paid anything from 60 to 80. She was like, oh, 80 is way too high. And I was like, right, can we like budge to maybe 60, 65? And that way you'll be able to get what you're looking for. And she was like, go on then, let's see what we can get. Literally next candidate I spoke to, 60K a year, something in his family around clubfoot. And he was like, I've always wanted to work in a business that had this type of product. Loved the story.
It's a dream.
Literally called the client up. It's like, you need to interview this guy. He's still there. He's a director now. He's been there like 6-7 years. And it's just from understanding and educating the client. And that's the level of service as well that some recruiters, like they just struggled, didn't they? Like, how do you educate a client? How do you propose yourself as like the partner, the extension of the brand?
We are the expert, right? That's the thing. And I think you have to be selective, because I would say from my experience, my old school experience, most clients want to partner with an agency. Most of them, what they want is they really want to work with one agency that they know and trust. It's low effort. They know you'll do a good job. They trust your opinion. And they want your top selection of a few people, and that's it. That's their life easier. They'll pay a premium for that, but that's what they want. And you've got others that do just want, basically what they really need is a job board. But they want to use agencies, but they want to use everyone. They want everything. They want that chaos and that like fighting over who sent who first. I don't know why. I don't know how. Obviously, you've got a lot of time. But there's people that do want that. Not many. Most want the first. But I think when you're new to recruitment, it's how you understand that you don't just get that. Like, that takes time and proving yourself to build. That's where you want to get to, and that's what the client wants, and that's what you want. But from day one, it doesn't just happen. Some of the best relationships that I've ever built, I never filled the first job they gave me, because I was never going to, right? Because I didn't know the business. They were working with someone else, and I crept in, or I don't know. But one specific one, I remember calling her for years, and she was the rudest woman in the world. She's actually lovely, but she's awesome. But to someone she doesn't know, that's understandably trying to work with her, gets called all the time, she did not want to know. And now, lovely, very loyal. But it didn't just happen. It took years of, well, not even years, not that long, but a few roles of doing a good job, showing, educating, like you said, pushing back and saying, I don't think we can go to market with this one. It's not good for you. Like, you're not going to fill it. And you probably see that more at the moment. I think where it's been a tough year for a lot of businesses. There's been waves of redundancies, like I said earlier. It's been a bit out there. You've got everyone asking for everything under the sun for nothing. And that is their dream, that they could get someone that's got 5 years industry experience, use their system, like literally could come in and do the job better than the person that's just left, and they want to pay 10 grand less. That's not going to happen. There are more available, talented people on the market, but they're not going to work for free. Or if they are, they're not going to stay for long. I think that's that, it's that working with them and educating that this is what you have to do. If you want to keep these people, this is what you've got to do.
So for recruiters out there that, just work contingent, don't ever work exclusive, never ever got money up front, or don't have those like real partnerships with clients, really struggle to do that. I'm really passionate about the partnership aspect of a recruiter. And when you explained there about a lot of businesses do want to partner with like one agency, I think that for you and I, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Like, we'll speak to a client and it's like you working with 3 agencies or working on a PSL, and then having agencies just throw CVs because they are afraid that the other agency might put them forward and they might get the job. In my opinion, it's shit recruitment. I don't like that. So, because one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, in a world that's going to be dominated by AI and automation and stuff, and I'm a firm believer that the good recruiters, the one that have the customer service, that are honest, great listeners, great asking questions, great at building relationships, will prevail, and the just shit ones, my language, will suffer and probably not really last in this industry. So for recruiters that want to be able to develop those partnerships and stand out, like, what do you think they can do?
I think what you just said there is quite key, though. To stand out to do it is to, one, accept that it doesn't happen from day one. You don't just get this stuff. You have to work hard at it. And it will only work if you actually are the kind of recruiter that people want to partner with. Don't mean that in a harsh way, but if you are a sloppy, let's just chuck everything everywhere, you don't really consult, then it's not for you, it's not going to work. But if you are the kind of consultant that generally you want those relationships, you've got the capability, like you said before. So actually you have the ability to talk to a client, understand the brief, challenge, push back. By the time you leave a meeting with a client, you've got all the things you need, and then you deliver. And you don't send them nonsense and you don't send them rubbish. You only send them brilliant people that match the brief. Or if there is a bit of a curveball, you send them that, but you tell them you're doing it and why you think it's an educated risk. And again, you talk together around it so they're involved in that decision. That's the way to approach it. And I think, I have many conversations where, don't get me wrong, we will work against other agencies sometimes. But I'm very clear from the beginning when I talk to clients that this isn't what we normally do. This is what we do. I'll do them, like, at the end of the day, they don't know me. They don't know us. They haven't worked with us before. If they're going to give us an opportunity, they're not suddenly going to give it to us on the way that we want it from day one necessarily. So then you talk to them openly and say, look, from the beginning, this is how I work, this is what I do, this is what I usually do. Let me do this on this occasion, but with a view that if I do a good job and you're happy, that's where I'd like to move to.
Yeah.
So almost like it's not like you're going in doing one thing and then 6 months down the line saying, well, can you work with me exclusively now if that's okay?
Yeah.
Actually, this is how I work, this is what I do. We'll do this to start off with, but we'll build over there.
Yeah.
And then you've kind of set out your stall from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you also then, as a recruiter, you know what you're aiming for. Because at the end of the day, you don't need lots of relationships. You just need the right ones.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, with all the stuff that's going on at the moment with, like I said, obviously, we, started in a recession. We went through COVID, which was an absolute car crash. But they're not, actually. At the time, it was a car crash. I still remember that vividly. I'd literally been back from maternity leave for like 2 weeks.
Oh, my God.
And then COVID hit. I was like, oh, my God. So... yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff that came out of that, like hybrid working, flexible working. Personally, as a business, we would never have considered that before.
Yeah.
I used to work from home like a day a month. I'd let senior people in our team work from home a day every fortnight. No, every fortnight, every 2 months.
Really?
I thought that was a real gift.
Yeah,
yeah. Like,
it just wasn't a
they
thing.
were lucky, so lucky.
We didn't have laptops back then.
We didn't have like remote phone systems.
No,
we had
the desk phone.
Yeah, it was, when COVID hit, we were like, oh my God, how do we actually do? And it's amazing what I think. Don't get me wrong, it was awful, and it for a lot of people it was very hard, and it's a very scary time personally. But professionally, what it did was made you realise when you need to move and change stuff quickly. Oh my God, you really can, right? You can be as agile as you need to be because everyone's done it. We went from being in the office to being at home with a moment's notice. Changed our like Teams. What was Teams?
I know.
Didn't use that.
I know.
Didn't know what it was.
We
WhatsApp video every now and again.
Skype, like I don't even know if Skype exists anymore. I'll never forget, like when we heard about the rumours of the boat in Italy, and then loads of people getting this like COVID thing, and then one day, like the MD just stood up on this like podium in the office and was like, right, so it looks like we're going to go into a lockdown. I was like, lockdown?
What's a lockdown?
What the fuck is a lockdown? He's like, so we've ordered laptops. We're like, laptops? Like, because we had like big desks, like tower computers, and like the next day there's like a delivery of like 15 laptops. We were like, oh my God, this is
actually happening.
This is actually happening. And then it's like, right, we've got you premium Teams accounts. We'll jump on Teams calls every day, and we've got cloud calls. We can do this, that, and the other. And it was like, it was really, really strange. And then we were all, I think initially we worked from home, and then I had, I think, 19 jobs on my desk at the time. One of them was a European sales director for a colorectal surgery business, and they said, we're going to keep the role open, find us someone, because it's a fully remote role, and then initially we just need that person to just make calls and stuff. So we kept that role, but then the other 18 just went we're going to pause, and they were like 25-30% of like 60 to 100k salaries, all just gone. And then when the whole furlough scheme came in, and my boss was like, right, we're going to put everyone on furlough, him and the sales director continued working. And then because I was one of the managers at the time, me, Catherine, Simon, Kieran, I think it was, got brought back to work remotely. And I was just making sales calls, and I was like, oh, how's business? Terrible. It's awful. I'm at home. I've got 2 crying kids in the background. Like, all the hospitals are shut. Like, it's awful out there. It's like, what are you doing, Charles? It's like, I'm just trying to call clients and maintain relationships. Like, there's no point. Like, the whole market's completely dead. Enjoy your time. And then I just said to my boss, like, mate, I just don't really see much of a point. And he was like, you got to push through, and like that people will remember you. And I was like, I get it, but like, what's the point right now? Like, nothing's moving. Every single call I'm making, people are just saying like, I'm off. Like, I'm on furlough. I'm a fucking director, and I'm on furlough. What's the point? And then I think we came back at the end of 2020, and we were in the office like 1 day a week and stuff. I was living at home with my mum at the time, and my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, lived with me and my mum and my brother, and my nephew was like 3 at the time, was in the house every now and then. It was chaos. I was like living and eating and sleeping and doing my hobby in my bedroom the whole time. And there's no like,
no space for me.
Couldn't go to the gym.
You're only allowed to go for a walk once a day, weren't you? That's the bit.
I couldn't even get a haircut. Like, it just, I just went like,
God, I had to do that. I had to cut my husband's hair. That was horrific.
Do
That was more scary than any of it. No. The expectation. I'm not a man. I've never used a pair of clippers. I've never watched so many YouTube videos. I was absolutely petrified. He's very particular. And I was like, you have to lower your expectations. I am not a hairdresser, and nor would I be a good one. I actually did not a bad job the first time. Then I got a bit overconfident the second time. Yeah, no one wants to do that. No one wants to do that.
But yeah, that was a really weird time. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because I've seen a bit of a flip, right? So after COVID, when I left that business, and I was another company as the global head of L&D for 2 years, and we had a policy, I think it was 1 or 2 days a week work from home, but they were letting trainee consultants work from home.
Right.
And I was a little bit like, I don't know if I agree with trainee recruiters that I've just trained them, they finished their 3-week academy, and now they're working from home.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't really seem right. But the managers and the seniors are working from home. So they're like, well, what's the point in having a bunch of trainees in the office by themselves? And then
True.
they're then saying to seniors, you've got to be in all the time if you've got a trainee in your team. Then they're getting pissed off. And then loads of people were leaving because agencies at the time were paying crazy salaries and saying you can be fully remote. We're all about work-life balance. And then I saw so many like trainees, 6 months, 9 months, a year, like bouncing from job to job. And I'm thinking, something's not right here. Like this doesn't seem right. And then 2 years after that wave happened, a load of businesses were like, no, we're going back to the office. And then like Rec to Recs were like, oh, but you're going to miss out on talent. We're like, but do you know what? This is how we work. If they don't like that, it's fine. But there are going to be people out there that, as you and I said at the start of the podcast, that want to be successful and don't mind. Like, let's face it, when you're 20 years old, you're living at home with mum, work-life balance, really? Like, you're 20 years old. Like, when I was 20 years old, and like, I can't speak for everyone, but I could go out on a Thursday night, get smashed with my colleagues, and come in at 9 or 8:30 on a Friday, hanging out my house with sunglasses on, doing a BD power hour. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not now. I'm turning 32 soon. Maybe not now, because my hangovers are just awful now. But the thought of just working from home when I'm 20,
I mean, I certainly think the sort of people that probably work well in the industry we're in wouldn't be the kind of people that would want to work from home in their bedroom. Personally. Yeah. For some jobs it works, doesn't it? And if you don't,
of course.
But I think for me the biggest thing, like we do hybrid working, and we let everyone do hybrid working, but we don't if they're in probation, especially for a trainee or someone. Because for me, like a lot of what you learn in any job isn't just about what you're kind of coached and trained. It's what you hear.
Yes.
You know, you hear your colleague do an amazing call or an awful call, or something bad happens. You're like, what was this? Naturally, but I think people that are just inquisitive.
Yes.
You know. And there's so many things that are better when you're together. Team morale, like having a great day, bad day, whatever. Also, just that speed of communication. A job comes in, phone so-and-so. I spoke to them this morning. They're available. Like that, when you're all working separately, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think we're much better together. But I also think for me, I mean, personally, I much prefer, I hate working from home. But personally, I've got 2 young kids. Like, times it works for me. Yeah. And I have to. And I've got better at it. But if I had a choice, I would be in the office more.
Yeah.
But I work from home a day a week, and I get stuff done. I don't love it, but it's fine. But for other people, it's really important. Yeah. You know, it's also that maximising that time, and depending on what you're doing, isn't it, as well? Certain days, certain things, they're better at home. Yeah. You know, when you're not going to get interrupted. There's other days where if you've got to really motivate yourself, you want your colleagues and that kind of team mentality. Yeah. But I think for someone starting out, I do think that has a big impact, because whether they mean to or not, it will stunt their growth. Their learning will be slower because who are you learning from?
100%.
And as much as you said before, I get it. If as a business you've made the decision to be hybrid, and then you're then telling people to come in, how they might not like that, and I get that. But if you're a manager and you're managing a person and you want them to succeed, which ultimately you'd hope if you're in that position you do, right? They've got to have their best chance, and that would be being with the people, learning from their colleagues, you know, being able to even how do you coach and mentor someone remotely? Someone's a trainee, they're making calls and they're not doing very well. Before they're not doing well, actually, you could tell them why, you could help them. If they're just at home, you don't know what they're doing. You know, not that they're not doing it, but they just might not be being as successful as they could if you gave them a bit more of a support. But I do think it's a good thing for life. You know, like hybrid working for life.
Yeah, 100%.
And they are the harder roles to fill. If we get jobs for companies now that are all office based, they're the ones. Funnily enough, actually, I'd say fully remote people don't like either. That's a really big sweeping statement. the younger generation, like we've had a few jobs recently that are, you know, fully remote, but for someone straight out of uni, and very few people want that at that end. But I think the mature you get,
I think the older you get,
balance, just different priorities, right?
My wife, when I first met her, she's since I've known her, she's worked in the civil service, right? She used to go into London 2 times a week. So when she was renting a flat with her friends in Finsbury Park in North London, I'd stay around her house and we would get a tube to King's Cross and then walk to the office, and then she'd walk that way, I'd walk that way. And it was great. And then when we bought this house, I think during COVID, everyone had to work fully remote, and the civil service, they were like, this can just work, so let's just all go fully remote. And she was fine. And then, as I said, we used to look after other people's dogs, so she would have a little side income looking after people's dogs. And then obviously we wanted to have a family, and she was like, I want to be able to be at home as much as I possibly can with the baby, and if we ever get a dog, like, I don't want to pay for someone to walk my dog, like, I want to do that myself. And then after a little while, they, like a lot of businesses, we want people back in the office. And I said to her, like, I get that in a sales function, right? Because you can track performance and you can see that little Jimmy is not doing the activity working from home, but when they're in the office, they're flying. So let's get people back into the office. Get that. For her job, they're all darted around the country.
Yeah.
So you're going to go into Greenwich or wherever your bloody office is by yourself just to fill in a piece of paper to say you're in the office.
That's where it doesn't really make sense.
That doesn't make any sense at all. And also, like, we're both the same age, like a week apart, like 31, 32 years old. She's mature she can do a job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when I was in L&D, like, yes, I've got to be in the office and do desk coaching. I can also do desk coaching on Teams.
Yeah.
I do that now. Like, all the solo founders I work with are darted around the country and around Europe. So I jump on a video call, we listen back to calls together, we make calls together. I can do that remotely.
Yeah.
And I'm a fucking adult. So when in my last company, oh, you're a senior member of staff, so we need you to be in the office to show the trainees that, no, I'm a senior member of staff. I've got other things in my life. Like, you told me about this job being hybrid and working from home 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh, but the days that you're not from home, you're not doing. I'm not on the phone. What do you mean? I'm at home building presentations, doing reporting, doing the admin stuff, right? And I'm doing the remote coaching. But when I'm in the office, of course, I'm darting around people's offices and helping people and all the rest of it. So I think, and I've said this so many times, I think depending on the business's values and where you want to take the business, if you're a business, right? And I had a guy on like 2 episodes ago, they're all fully in the office.
Yeah.
Their whole culture is not overly salesy. They're very consultative. They do a lot of RPOs and retainers and stuff, but they want everyone to be close-knit, together, team, like a sports team, all together, learning from one another. And, you know, when someone sells a 2.1 million RPO, they want everyone to be in the office together.
To celebrate and stuff.
That's their culture. That's brilliant. He has said, look, if I've got someone that has kids and stuff and they want to work from home, sure, fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But I tell people, especially the new people that come into my business, we work long hours. You know, this is the earning potential. If you like that, great. If you don't, there are so many businesses out there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's
being clear on what it is
100%.
and what's important to you. Like for me, everyone that works for me, they would work just as hard at home as they would in the office. My I suppose view on remote working and hybrid isn't about how hard they work, because I trust them, right? They wouldn't work for me if I didn't, and I know they're capable and they do a good job. It's more, I think, when you're starting out, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and the only way you can do some things like over Teams and remote, but I think they need, especially the first 3 months, it's quite critical just to get that right, so they can be self-sufficient and they're not sat there thinking, I don't know what to do, but I don't know who to ask, and you know, that awkward bit. But I think it's a huge benefit that had that not happened all those horrible years ago, we wouldn't be where we are now. And it's a bit like that with AI as well, right? You know, like you hear so many things about, oh, recruiters will be made redundant, there'll be no need, and it's an absolute load of rubbish. But it is. But maybe not for, you know, like I talked earlier about the clients that really value and partner, and some that just want lots and lots of CVs. Maybe for some types of businesses, the role of what we do won't be needed for them. But that's because they didn't really need it in the first place. But for those that do, they still do. It's just in a different way. There's just more you can add to it. You know, ultimately, people want to work with recruiters because of their network, their relationships, and their ability. Yes, AI can do some of those things. I've seen some awesome tools and some tools that I really don't like, but I think I might like in 5 years. You know, there's so much out there. It's like so much noise. It's quite overwhelming, right? But ultimately, if you're a recruiter and you can't not use AI because you be slow and a bit behind, but use it for the stuff that matters. Use it for the stuff that gives you more time to do the stuff that matters, and that is, for me, just seeing your clients, seeing like being present with your customer groups. That's where your value is. It's not doing admin, it's not doing analysis, it's not doing spreadsheet like stuff. There's loads of AI that can help you with stuff or admin tasks or routine things that, don't get me wrong, it might not save you loads of time, but it might save you, I don't know, half an hour here and there. But if that means you can go to another 2 or 3 meetings a week, or speak to 50 more clients or candidates or whatever, there's certain things that, you know, there's a place for what we do. I think if you're really skilled and you're really like a true recruitment partner and you know your staff, you know, AI won't replace that, because as long as people are still recruiting people and not just AI, then there's a need for it,
AI recruiting AI.
Yeah, it can get a bit like that, can't it? Or an AI response, responding to an AI response. It's like, whoa.
Have you seen the things where someone puts ChatGPT in front of ChatGPT on two mobiles and they start speaking to each other?
Oh, really? No, I haven't seen that.
It's crazy. For me, like, I totally agree with you, by the way, on the AI front, because I was one of those, I don't know what the right word is, but you know those people that are just like, oh, whatever about this AI stuff, I'll do it myself. And I read a study the other day that was saying that people that overly rely on things like ChatGPT, it's actually stunting their brain ability to solve problems and things like that. And
it makes you lazy, right?
It makes you very lazy.
It's doing stuff for you.
Yeah, one of my friends put together a spreadsheet for like his workout routine, and we were on PlayStation chat at the time, and I went, wait there, one prompt. I've made you an entire spreadsheet in a prompt. And he was just like, oh yeah, but you know, I don't want to get over reliant on a ChatGPT because, you know, I want to be able to use my brain. I was like, I get that, but then there are certain things, mate, that you spend hours putting together this complex spreadsheet that I've done in literally a single prompt. Like there are certain things you can do. So I kind of went through a bit of a shift in mentality with AI at the start of the year, and I had a business coach, and he sent me my coaching report minutes after our session, and I was like scratching my head, and I was like, what the how have you done that? And I read through it, and there was like quotes from what I've said word for word,
and I'm transcribing tool or something.
Yeah, and I was like, right, okay, I need to up my game and actually learn about AI. So downloaded Granola, which is like a free AI note taker, just listens into computer audio, brilliant, right? ChatGPT, I've created a prompt for my coaching reports with every single section. So now whenever I do a coaching session remotely or in person, whack the AI note taker on, put that into ChatGPT, read through the report, so I'm making sure it doesn't, because sometimes it will pick up the part at the start where it's just like the small talk, and it's like child struggling with sleep with a newborn. I might get rid of that.
Don't need to remind everyone
Don't need to remind that. Yeah, that's fine. Get rid of that. So then I'll go through that, and then I can send the report 5 minutes after the meeting, and then I'll go for a coffee, have the next coaching session. That's been great. The podcast, I used to write every single podcast description, go through the podcast myself, like what was their answer, when did they say this, and do so much time unnecessary, create the clips myself. I've got an AI that just does the clips for me, and then it schedules it. So there's a few things that I use for my business, but for recruiters and founders that maybe are kind of going through that transition now about, okay, I don't want to get eaten by the wave, I do want to adopt it, but then equally, you know, I had a conversation about this, there is a bit of AI fatigue, and people are like, I'm going to buy AI products for the sake of it.
People spend a lot of money on stuff that doesn't. I think if you're going to do anything in your business with an AI, you just got to be clear about what you're actually trying to achieve. Like, what is the problem? Not even a problem. Where do you think it would add value, and where is it just stuff? Like, I've seen products. I saw a product a few months back, which, don't get me wrong, in like 5-10 years will be brilliant. But for now, I was like, I don't think we're there yet. Like, it was like a candidate screening tool. So in theory, what would happen is a candidate would apply for a job. Within 10 minutes, they'd get a call back from Lawrence Dean AI that would say it was Lawrence Dean AI, and it would ask it set screening questions, and then by the time your consultant came in the morning, there would be all these pre-populated people, and it was a bit glitchy. It was brand new anyway, and I was like, I can from one hand I can see, like, basically internally I could think that would save a lot of time. That would be like, I can see the definite benefits, but where I kept coming back to something like that was like, but candidate experience, like if that was me receiving that call, I would hang up. We're not there yet as a world. I know there's AI integrated and everything, but I think most of the people that would receive that call would think,
I'm the same.
And it looks a bit sloppy, late. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here, but I was quite off-putting. And then I think you've burnt that candidate. That reputation's, that the damage it could do versus the benefit wouldn't be worth the risk for me. Whereas other companies may feel differently.
I think you're right when you said about in 5 years' time, because I've trialed a load of AI tools because we're building an AI training business, right?
Yeah, you said.
And I trialed something, and it was exactly that. And it said, hey, I'm so-and-so's AI PA or something like that. Can I ask you a couple of questions? And it was good. And he said, if you saw version 1 2 years ago, you'd have laughed because it was so janky. And he was like, but the technology is evolving so much that in a few years' time, it's going to sound exactly like me. And there's not going to be any like stuttering and glitchiness. But I'm with you that if I've put an advert up and there's 100 responses and I don't have time to individually message them or call them, to have something in the background, just calling them up saying, I really appreciate you applying for the advert. Sarah is, got calls today. Can I ask you a couple of questions? And if we think you're relevant, we can arrange a call. Great. But yeah, for now, I think those things, if your thing is customer service and stuff, and it's not 100% yet, then yeah, probably right to kind of move away.
I think in the future, when the world has got to that point, But I think for now, it's just like, if anything automated calls my mobile, the first thing I do is hang up. Because I think it's a scam, because it normally is, or I just think I can't be bothered with that. If you whatever this is, I'm just not interested. And unless it's like foolproof, as in like a candidate could ask questions and it could answer, which takes a lot of training, and we're just not there. But some of the stuff that for me is a no-brainer. Like, I'm not amazing with tech. I'm an 80s kid. Like, this, I like it, I enjoy it, but I'm not down to, I don't understand how to put it all together. But some of it is so straightforward. Like any admin task, I don't mean writing, because I think I hate seeing ChatGPT generated, like LinkedIn. It's some of it's all everything. Don't get me wrong, enhancing, absolutely fine. Like I'll write my own content, and I'll ask it to, you know what it's like. Sometimes I'll write it and I might have been having a bit of a tough day or no sleep with the kids or something, and I'll read it and think, that just sounds a bit flat. And can you put this in my normal style? I'm like, okay, that sounds a bit happier, a bit jollier. That sort of thing, fine. But don't literally get it to write everything for you and post it. There's people that you see that I know, and I know you didn't write that. Like, you're not saying you're not capable, but that's just not you, because I think you have to be authentically yourself.
It's almost too perfect,
language.
and it's just,
It's almost like it, because eventually you are going to meet these people and talk to them, and you don't want to be like catfishing, do you? Do you know what I mean? It's quite... So, but it's anything that I think saves you time, and it's an admin task, whether like analysis or reporting or like lead gen, or, as a recruiter, anything that if you literally go through your working week and think, what do I spend a lot of my time on that's what I'd call administrative or research, or you can find something that can do that for you. And it takes a bit of time to set up, but it's not that hard. Even I can do it. So that's the stuff to me that's like a no-brainer, like formatting documents, or but the non-human element.
Yeah, the non-human elements.
Yeah, 100%. But you've got to be clear why you're doing it, because I think some people do that and that's great and it's all whizzy and fancy. But if that doesn't in turn mean that you have more time to generate more revenue, then you've got to question what's the point.
Yeah.
Because say you are after that work-life balance and you're only going to work 40 hours a week, make every single one of those hours count.
Yeah.
So you've got to really, add that in, make sure that whatever you're doing isn't just for the, to look fancy, or it's a new whizzy tool. Actually, like you said, note-taking, what you said about your training, amazing. Because you've done the work. All it is the follow-up, and it saves time, and it's accurate for them as well, and brilliant. It's like all the note-taking on Teams, or, brilliant. No one wants to do that, and it would be more accurate. But anything that, like I said, kind of touches upon that client or candidate experience, I just think you have to be really careful.
I'll tell you something funny, actually. So I met a guy yesterday, and he's created a business, an AI product that does all the automation for your outreach for candidates and clients, from SMS, LinkedIn, email, besides the phone calls, and it will send personalised images. So it'll be an image of him with a Starbucks cup, and it will have their name on it, and say, like, do you want to meet for a coffee, right? Because it's all through this automation. And he sends voice notes as well. So it's in his own voice, and it's a voice note in the automation that says, hey Sarah, we've recently connected, saw that you've just recently moved to X company, be great to reach out, share some insights, let me know when you're free for a call. Great. I thought that was amazing. On the contrary, I had a voice note from an AI business probably 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
They used my business name in the voice note, right? And it initially sounded quite real, right? So the message was something like, this is going to sound really crazy, but I'll send you a voice note. Hang on. Sent me the voice note. My business name is Infinite Learning with a 1 in there, the 1% better, right? It said, I wanted to see how we can help use AI with INF1IT learning. And as soon as I heard that, I went, AI, and I just texted the message and was like, never mess with me again. Similar to what you said about getting an AI call you, it just burnt the bridge for me immediately. And I was like, couldn't you just spend, like, it was a 20-second voice note. Couldn't you have just sent me a voice note yourself?
Yeah.
And he was like, are you not using AI in your business? Like, I am, but not like that. Like, that's like, if I was a candidate and I had that, and say, for example, I worked at a company called INF1 Learning, whatever it is, it would burn the bridge for me, because it's like, it's a 20-second fucking voice note. Couldn't you take 20 seconds out of your day
to do that and get it
and
right?
One of the last coaching sessions I had with my business coach, I've got this product called Canbox, which does all my LinkedIn automation. So it connects with people in my ICP and sends them a message to say, thanks for connecting, and I can send voice notes on my laptop through this product, because you can only do it on your mobile on LinkedIn, but I can do it on my laptop through this thing called Canbox. And he said to me, when you're sending voice notes, they don't need to be perfect. The less perfect they are, the better. And he's like, mate, also, you've got, like, at the time she was 3 months old, you've got a 3-month-old, you're feeding her at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? send your voice notes at 10 p.m. at night and just make a joke and say, I'm about to feed the baby,
Be
I've
you.
only got time. Yeah, just be you.
Yeah.
And, just be authentic. And I just started sending voice notes out, just like, I've just finished the baby feed. I said, you're a dad as well, let's arrange a call. And it was just authentic. And people bought into it. It was like, I'm in the same boat, or I've been there, let's arrange a call. So the reason why I kind of went round and round there is that, similar to what you said around the AI piece, I think if your thing is like service, candidate experience, client experience and stuff, like, I just think companies need to be very mindful with using tech that just removes away from the human side, because it's a human industry.
I agree. Like I said, all the stuff to support, to save time, to make you be able to do that bit, but it's your first impression. It's a potential relationship. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I do believe sometimes, I always have this phrase like, done is better than not done. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to make it perfect.
Yeah.
I am a perfectionist and I really struggle with that, but sometimes you just got to give it a go, and it'll either happen or it won't.
Yeah.
It's you stand a chance of succeeding at something if you try. If you don't try at all, or you wait for it to be perfect, maybe you're too slow, it's too late. Yeah. But I think with AI, like, it's just risky. You've got to get it right. So stuff like that, if you can send a 20-second voice note that you've personalised, that may not be word perfect, it may be a bit garbled, it's just off the cuff, but it's literally 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I think people would respond a lot better to that, and the effort that takes a lot of effort, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then just knowing that you are sending that to one of however many hundreds of people at that time.
100%.
So.
Amazing. Well, look, we've spoken about a load of different things today, and I've really enjoyed it. But as you know, the last question I finish off with every single episode is, following this particular episode today, how can people get 1% better in recruitment?
I would say a few things. So use AI, like I said, but use it to support your admin, the time that takes the stuff that you need to do to give you more time to be in front of people. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'd say is that just don't forget, in recruitment, basically, you're just in with people. Be yourself, be authentic, but don't forget, clients become candidates, candidates become clients. How you treat people will always be remembered, and you can grow your business, your desk, just authentically by doing that. Mm-hmm. And I suppose the final thing I'd probably say is, the best recruiters that I've ever known are the ones that work just as hard when things are slow as they do when things are quick. So just because the market might be a bit tough, there might be a bit less out there, you've got to work your desk all the time as if you had the maximum amount of jobs and roles on that you'd normally have, rather than it slows you slow, you become kind of a victim of what's going on in the market. And just with that, just you've got to work hard with it, right? Yeah, that's a really good answer. I normally don't. I usually just leave it at that, but I have to ask one little question just on top of that, because I know a lot of people I've worked with and people that listen to the podcast where, as you mentioned, this year has been a bit up and down for a lot of different markets. When I work on desk with a recruiter and the market's really slow, no one's hiring, and you can see their work ethic kind of slow, because I think they don't know what to do when things are, quote, slow. So just, if you can, like, what's one thing that recruiters can do, and even founders, to help with the recruiters when the market is a little bit slow and things are a little bit down? Yeah, definitely. They do? I think one of my key things, and we focused on this a lot this year, because we've been through I sound like a dinosaur here, but like I said, recession, COVID, and a lot of people haven't done that. They started in the good old days after COVID, where you could sneeze and pick up a job. It was really easy. So for me, I think in terms of how to manage it, you've got to shut out all the outside noise. There will always be something. It'll either be political or economic, or there's only so much you can control, and you can't control that. So really, for me, you focus on what's in your control, and what's in your control as a recruiter is how hard you work, what effort you put in, and what activities and things you do. So you could, it's not an excuse, but rather than focusing on, it's really tough out there, the market's really bad, the economy's this, this has happened, that is what you're in. Yeah. That is how it looks. That's probably how it's going to look next year. You can either spend your time focusing on why you're not achieving what you want to achieve, or you block out that noise and you focus on what you can and what is in your power, what is in your control. They're the consultants that really succeed, because you can't, you're not the Prime Minister, you can't do whatever it is we're doing. I wouldn't want that job anyway. But that kind of focus, I think, and just constantly work, but reflect. Like, do the activities you're doing, do whoever if you're working for, they've obviously coached and mentored you and shown you what to do. But when you're doing that, just constantly reflect. If that isn't working, if you're calling a company and they're not taking your call and you phone them 10 times, why are you still doing that? That is not going to work for you. What else could you do? Could you contact them on LinkedIn? Could you send them a voice note? Have you tried email? Have you, the people that succeed in our industry and the ones that will shine next year, you've got to have that solution mindset.
Yeah.
Like, don't just be on a wheel and keep doing the same stuff, and then it's just demotivating, right? You're not getting success. Just literally stop, quick, reflect. What do I do differently? Try that. That didn't work. What can I do? Ask people. Do you know what? I really, really want this client. I really want to develop them. I've tried this, this, and this. What would you do? Oh, I'd try that, and I've done that. You know, we did it in our team recently. We did a bit of a searching masterclass thing, and I got everyone involved. And one of my team, and her job, she's not a consultant, but I just got her involved because she does some of the training on it. Of all the people in the room, she came up because she thinks of it completely differently to us. The stuff that she put in, I was like, I've done this for a million years. I never would have thought of that. What a brilliant idea. So just ask, share.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, really, just shut out the outside noise. You can't control that. Focus on what you can do and then go for it.
Love that. It's interesting. You just reminded me of a story from, I think it was probably this time last year, where a couple of consultants at a business I was working with, market just dipped. Just a lot of businesses were just on hiring freezes, and morale in the office just shifted because everyone's BD calls from we're going to hire at this time to we're in a hiring freeze now. And I just said to them, I was like, look, you can sit there and be in the mindset of, oh, market's slow, no one's hiring. Or you can just shift your perspective, and rather than ask clients when they're hiring, are they hiring, to what are your business objectives?
Yeah.
How's the year been? What are you struggling with? What could we help with? If they sit there and say, well, we're not hiring, so you can't help with anything. Okay, what were your struggles with hiring? When you eventually do look to hire, what problems can we solve, etc.? Then speak to candidates in the market that don't want to move because the market's stagnant right now. What would you look for? Like, what are challenges you're facing in your business? Tell me more about that business. What's the projects you're working on?
Yeah.
Gather information. So we just changed the strategy across the business and just said, rather than going out to get jobs, right, go and get info. Just go and generate information. Guess what? The whole morale changed. People are getting off calls and like, right, they're not hiring now, but in the next 3 months, they're potentially looking at this. Their key issue was that. This candidate said they weren't looking, but they would potentially look at that. Their business will be hiring. They're struggling with this project. So-and-so got made redundant. All of a sudden, all this information was all value. And in the next few months, when the market started to go, right, okay, we're ready to start hiring, they've got all these relationships.
Yeah, and they're all well equipped, right?
Yeah.
You have to be agile, you have to evolve. And, you know, we do some really different things. This year we've done some different stuff. We do some like events and training, but that's all come from conversations. Like you said, where you're talking to people, what's their pain points? Actually, we're really struggling with this, and we've got retention issues. Like most recruiters will be like, I'm like, well, why? Because actually, I don't know if I want to hire with you if you're going to, like, why are you losing people? And you seem like a great company, and you support and work with them, and they fix that issue. And then it's like, what else could you add? You get to get really embedded with their business, you know it, and then they don't go anywhere, you know?
100%. Yeah.
So, no, it's a good point.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, look, thank you very much for coming round.
Thanks for having me.
For people that maybe want to reach out to you or anything, what's the best way for people to get
drop me a message on LinkedIn or my email.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Wonderful. I'll put everything in the episode. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed. As I've said before, if you are not subscribing and following on whatever platform it is that you're listening or watching this podcast on, please go and do that. It really, really helps the show. I've got a monthly newsletter that gives you a roundup of every single episode. We're securing sponsorship to grow the podcast and make it better. For people that have been listening or watching to this podcast from the early days, you would have seen a natural progression in terms of the production quality, a lot more face-to-face interviews, etc. So we're only going to get better. We're planning on doing events. We're planning on having some incredible people on. So do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, all those types of good things, and reach out to me. Let me know what your best episode is. Let me know who you'd want to see on the podcast. And if you are also interested yourself, I've always got space for cool people that want to share things that they're really, really passionate about. So here's to getting 1% better. Here's to elevating the recruitment industry, and I'll see you next week.